I don't think necessarily that Mourinho doesn't have a tactic or a way of playing, but I wonder if the players have the ability somehow to execute it, because, as I say, more in that area just wasn't. Go on, Chris. You definitely
look, he does know what he's like. Look, I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing. He obviously does. I mean, he is arguably one of the best coaches in the world. I think he's past it, but that's another story. But let's just look at this. Sonny, 2 goals in 10 matches. Lucas, no goals in 16 matches, and none in his last 21 Premier League games. Bergwijn, no goals in 9 matches. Dele, 1 goal, which is a penalty in 14 matches. That's 3 goals and only 2 from open play in that quartet's combined 49 matches. Now, Son and Kane were missing from some of those, sure, but those are concerning figures.
Yeah.
And so if that's what's happening, what are we going to do to address that? Particularly, like, we can't, I know it's like we could rely on Harry Kane and then we win the semi-final without him and all of those things. I get all of that. But actually, when you've got that level of talent, and then in the last 10 games, they're not delivering, what's happening? And I'm not a football coach, so although not to that level, so I'm not going to necessarily be able to answer that. But the players have got the talent, so we need to give them a structure and a framework in which to work.
So I'm going to leave that as an open-ended question. Right. So were there in the and actually I'm not really, because I'm kind of drawing it into the next point. But were there any bright sparks, any bright points that you saw out of that game yesterday at all?
Right.
Really
I've got my list. I've got my list here somewhere. I just can't find it. I thought Doherty didn't have a bad game to start with. I thought he faded a bit.
Yeah, he did.
And but he had a similar position to what Serge had been playing, but he seemed to have more control, a bit more composure. And of course, he had a chance to score. He got right through. That was a nice little run, and he did a couple of other bits. But we were just so disjointed anyway. I think it was very hard for him to do much. And Højbjerg, I thought, had I think most people thought he was absolute shit, according to Twitter. But if you look at his stats, I think his stats were pretty good, actually. I think he had the most passes completed, 68 out of 74. Most attacking third passes completed, which is pretty impressive. Most fouls committed, so he was getting stuck in. And second most ball recoveries, and that was 9. So I think he worked hard. He was just in a midfield that
were his fouls committed off of his own touch or something. So.
Well, there you go.
Look, he looked puffed out, as did a lot of the team. That's a concern, considering what the fixtures in the next couple of weeks are looking like.
Well, I actually think that's a positive, Chris. I think that's a positive, because I think these fixtures will actually act as a bit of a pre-season and get them fitter. Whether we get results out of them, I don't know. But I think these games coming thick and fast will actually help.
Yeah, well, obviously, there's no substitute for kind of in-match sort of fitness. Like, playing the game is the only thing that you can do to get yourself ready to play a game, right?
Exactly.
But they're important. Thursday's important.
It is,
Doesn't matter who we're playing.
And it's a knockout. It's not 2 legs, so we've got to go there and win the thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I felt that I'm here to be shot down. This is Steve Worrell speaking. When you listen back to it, so if you wanna come at me hard, I'm happy.
Come on, Steve, just shoot. Don't worry about what they say. We don't have any listeners anyway.
That's true. I thought that Ndombele, when he came on,
I agree,
provided something that we were missing in terms of someone that wanted to play forward. And I have actually seen someone else say this on Twitter as well. But his first pass, I think, was a forward pass. I can't remember to who, but there was another pass that he played, which is he just wellied this ball in to Son, right, at an angle, and he just fucking fired this ball in, and it was pure class. Sonny took it down, played it, received it, then turned into trouble and lost the ball. But we need to get him on the pitch.
We do.
We need him on the pitch. We need to find a way, whether Jose has 2 holding midfielders that will sit in behind him and allow him just to go wander and express himself on the ball, then if that needs to happen, that needs to happen, because he's clearly talented, he's clearly got vision, and he's clearly someone that can unlock a defence. Now,
I don't think that's controversial in this room, Steve. I think because, he's progressive and positive, which is what we missed.
It's not controversial in this room, but it's certainly going to be controversial if we manage to break out beyond our regular band of listeners ever. You'll find that someone will go, "That's shit."
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
He's a disgrace.
All of that because, he misplaced a couple of passes.
Yes,
but
I was going to add that. Yeah,
I am happy for him to misplace a couple of passes because the intent is the right intent.
Well, that's right.
You're not always going to hit You're not always going to hit the runner, but you're looking to do something positive.
Yeah,
that's right. And when you're actually playing that type of game, playing forward, you will misplace passes because you're trying to.
And that was the thing where, and it was again referring back to Alan Green, he spoke about a pass that Rodriguez played yesterday, and saying, I thought that had been cut out, and I saw the pass today where he's drilled it across a low diag across the pitch. And I don't know who the player was recovering, and they literally their foot was probably about just there away from the ball. They were really close, but it's that pass, and he's attempting to play that pass, and he made it. And Dombele's attempting to play those passes, and those are the players that are going to make the difference in games. It's not the players that,
I'd be starting him, and I think. I would never have Lucas Moura in a starting lineup. I think he's a decent impact player. Wouldn't start him.
Yeah, but more Mourinho loves him.
Yeah.
He will for better or for worse. He absolutely loves him, and I kind of saw what he brought to the team. As I say, post lockdown, I saw what he brought to the team. But that's clearly in a central area. If he's going to play him in the wide areas, then you might as well get him off the pitch, because he doesn't add anything to the team in that area of the pitch at all. So, just disappointing. But there we go. I think probably, if you agree, that's probably enough actual analysing of the game. I do want to talk. I don't know about. I don't know what your Twitter following is like, Chris, but I mean. I kind of avoided Twitter, but every time I popped on there, I saw people going, "Oh my God, the Twitter meltdown is diabolical. What's happened to the Spurs fans? Blah blah blah." And I actually saw someone ask the question. I'm going to ask the question: Have Spurs fans? Are Spurs fans using Twitter in the same manner that Arsenal fans have AFTV? Because the way we explode and just go totally over the top in our reactions to performances, to games, as you say, Dier has been lambasted by a load of Spurs fans. Doherty was getting dogs abuse here and there. So have we got our equivalent of AFTV but on Twitter? We need to give them a little channel and a platform they can just bugger off, please themselves, and we can just be done with them.
I think there's a lot of them.
Well, I don't know. I think there are two things there. One is they're the ones that we see. So who's to say that there isn't the same for every kind of the top 6 clubs in England, and we just don't see it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And I think the second thing is, and I don't want this to sound like, just because I'm old or whatever, but I remember when we had a central midfield and we're excited. We were excited at the prospect of a central midfield of Sean Davis and Pedro Mendes.
Yeah, I remember
that was like we'd arrived because that's what our central midfield was. Yeah. So, the thought of complaining of where we are now. Look, I get it. But also I say this to my dad, right? My dad he's a Manchester United fan. I'll give him that because my family's from Cyprus. After the Munich air crash in a small village in Cyprus, you've heard of Manchester United. I get it. But my dad is an armchair football fan. He's very engaged, but he never goes to live football. Yeah. And I think if you watch football on the telly and you've never played it, right, you don't understand what it takes to hit every pass, make every header, etc. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that's what you end up with a lot of. And I get it because football is like watched by kind of hundreds of millions of people across the world. And not everyone can get to a game. I'm not saying that, like it's a privilege. I feel privileged to be able to go to live football matches when we can go to them. And not everyone plays football. I get it. But I think you have to think, like if you are that person on Twitter, you also have to appreciate what it takes to be out there, let alone being a human person trying to do your work under that level of pressure. And you can talk about how much money footballers earn and all the rest of it.
It's irrelevant. Yeah.
They're still human.
Yeah, they are. They are. You're right.
But they don't. But they do tie the two in together. I mean, this is why I said about the Ndombele thing about I'm here to be shot down. I mean, they talk about his transfer fee, the fact that he's massive transfer fee. They talk about the wages. Well, he's massive transfer fee, massive wages. He should be better than that. That's it. End of. Nothing else. Nothing else comes into it. Doesn't matter that he's 22 or whatever age he is. He's in a foreign country, probably the first time in his life. Doesn't matter that the manager has said that he's working his arse off and his attitude isn't actually that bad, and he's trying to change things around. That doesn't seem to matter to some people. They've got an opinion. They've got of him, and they that's it. It's done. It's done and it's fixed.
I get it. I mean?
It just frustrates me.
On the money side, like we're talking about capitalism, we're talking about market value, we're talking about, and that's not down to the players.
No,
if you or I were in an industry where that's what the fees, someone was going to command those fees, we'd get a percentage of it, and that's the salary they were willing to pay us. What would you do? Say no? But of course, you're just going to do, and you're going to do you'll do your best to do your job, and then you go to do your job, and they say, actually, you're not coming to this meeting today. You have to stand outside. We might call you in later. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have control over the situation at all. That's right.
You come into the meeting, you might go into the meeting, got to use that to stretch this kind of slightly, this analogy. You go into the meeting, you don't know what's happened in the rest of the meeting necessarily, but you're going to go in, you're going to try and have an impact on it. Yeah. You might come up with something good, but you might misplace a few passes.
Yeah, exactly. And also, he's joined a club with a change of manager, and the new manager doesn't seem to like him very much. So what can you do? That's it.
Well, we don't know that.
No, we don't.
Let's not bow to
I'm not saying. I'm not saying on a personal level. I'm saying he doesn't like him in his team at the moment. We can see that for sure. That is the case.
I think. Yeah. I mean, we're not. I still disagree. I don't know. We don't know that he doesn't like him. We need.
Have you seen the last 3 All or Nothings?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
I haven't either.
Okay, Andy, don't do that, mate.
No.
We'll chuck you off the pod if you jump in there and ruin it for us.
I was just doing an advert for Wednesday's pod.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
good thinking. We will discuss that on Wednesday.
Yeah,
and by then I will have watched it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so obviously, I mean, Chris, you watched both games. Andy, you watched the Spurs game, but there were a hardcore element of our fan base that didn't need to watch the game because they're
up in Tottenham, weren't they? Yeah,
they were up in Tottenham. They had a point to prove. There was 8 of them there, all eight of them holding up their banner. What did you make of the Unique Out protest then?
Well, I thought it was very. I thought it was very well done. I thought the banner was lovely. It was nice and white and blue, so they got the colours right. So bless them on that. I think it was a bit unfair.
No spelling mistakes, even.
No spelling mistakes at all. No. I think it was a bit selfish of them for the authorities to have to close down the whole area because they had the banner out on the road. So that must have disrupted. No, just kidding. But I don't know, what are they doing? I mean, is this the same group